838, Big 550, KTRS Cat Neville from Feast Magazine, feaststl.com. Also, Feastcom is what I call it. Sponsored by Jimmy's on the Park, 706 to Munn in Clayton, 725-8585. Their website is jimmyscafe.com. Don't forget to make reservations for Easter brunch. That's coming up. Starts at 10. It features live jazz from Jim Manley, Mark Fredericks in the Bistro Bar. Everything is cooked to order. Jimmy's on the Park in Clayton. Good morning, Cat Neville.
Good morning.
Let's get right to our couple of restaurants here. What do we got?
Well, the first one is actually related to the April issue, which just debuted a couple of days ago, last Friday. And we actually have two different features on morel mushrooms. One is where we went actually last year, the writer, Jeremy Newlick, he actually went out with the Missouri Mycological Society, the moms is what they call themselves.
Is that mushrooms?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Mycological. Yes.
Mycological.
Yes.
Okay.
So morels are this, we keep using the word elusive, but they're this elusive mushroom that you have to hunt for. They only grow in the wild. You can't cultivate them. And so there's these groups. Yeah, there are these groups of people that are just fanatics about hunting for these mushrooms. So we have a couple of different features on that. One is this kind of slice of experience where Jeremy went out with this group last year on their annual hunt. And then the second feature is a lot of really amazing recipes that utilize this ingredient. So in my Feast TV cooking demo, I kind of adapted Blood and Sands recipe they do an agnolotti that's stuffed with this morel mushroom filling and served with an English pea puree. Mm-hmm. And so for my demo, I decided that I was going to make, this is a long story, I was going to make
I got 4 hours.
fresh pasta and do a similar stuffing. Now, the thing is that when we filmed it, you really weren't able to find morel mushrooms. You can only get them in season fresh. Okay. You can't get them elsewhere.
Right.
So we tracked down a bunch of dried mushrooms, morel mushrooms through Whole Foods. And then, again, I decided I was going to make this pasta. And so I 00 flour, which is double aught flour, which is the finest grind of Italian flour.
Okay.
And then I also needed to find coarse semolina flour, which these are specialty products at your average grocery store they just don't carry them.
Right.
And so I went down to the hill and I found everything that I needed at Di Gregorio's. So I wanted to talk about Di Gregorio's. It's been around forever.
Right.
It's one of those places everybody knows the name, but I don't know when the last time you went down to Daggett. The address is 5200 Daggett on the hill. And in the refrigerated section, I found the coarse semolina. I also found that double aught, very fine flour, which is used to make pizza dough, pastas, things like that. And then I also found a very compact pasta machine, like not one of those big ones. I wanted something that was small that I could just stick right on my kitchen counter.
Right.
And so they had everything that I needed. So I nerded out entirely and made pasta for days. It was so fun. So and
there's nothing like fresh pasta.
No, there really isn't. And making it is incredibly simple. So I went to Kitchen Conservatory and got this was a big project, and got a scale, a kitchen scale, a digital kitchen scale, where I could make my pasta recipes using weight as opposed to volume, because then you're much more accurate in the results. And so I used all these different gadgets, and you'll see that the episode of Feast TV airs this Saturday on Channel 9 at 2, and then the following Monday, and all that kind of good stuff. You can also, once it airs on the station, you can watch it on feaststl.com. But making the pasta, it was so fun, and then using that hand crank tool, and then I actually ended up getting one of the in the tool that I got from Di Gregorio's. They have all the different attachments where you can do the different types of noodle. So I got the linguine attachment, and we played with linguine, and it was just a really neat process.
So Di Gregorio somehow has a market for this double aught flour.
Well, yeah, because, if you're a home cook and you want to make true, like a Neapolitan-style pizza, you have to use that type of flour to be able to get the light texture that you're going for.
So would restaurants order?
Yes.
Okay, so restaurants go there all the time.
Well, restaurants need that type of flour if they're making pasta and if they're making that particular type of Italian pizza. And so Di Gregorio's, they have there's a lemon-infused olive oil that's required for the English pea puree in that recipe, and I found it there as well. So it's an Italian specialty market, and they have everything from Italian cookies to an amazing selection of olives, these type of specialty flours, as well as the tools that you need to be able to make Italian food at home. So it was so much fun rediscovering that shop.
Quick question about making pasta. Okay, so you put the dough, the soft dough, through. Do you have to dry it or anything, or can you?
It's not that soft. That's one of the things about pasta dough. It's not super soft. So, and you make your dough, and it's very elastic, and it actually is pretty dense. And then you let it rest for at least an hour.
Okay.
Before you roll it out, and then when you roll it out, the way that the pasta machine works is that you have kind of a wide setting and you run like your little glob of pasta dough through there. And then each time you feed it through, you kind of like chink it back.
Okay.
So that each time, exactly right. And so that it kind of gets smaller and smaller and smaller, so you can decide how thick or thin you want your pasta to be.
Once you finish running it through the grinder, how long do you have to set before you cook it?
I made the ravioli right away. So I set the sheets out. I did these wide sheets, and I did, rather than agnolotti, I decided to do the ravioli, and I found the ravioli cutters at DiGregorio's.
Right.
And so I just piped my filling onto my sheets of pasta and then laid the other sheet on top and then used my ravioli cutter to stamp out the ravioli. It was so fun.
How about that?
Yeah.
You did geek out.
I did. I totally geeked out.
5200 Daggett,
Yes.
DiGregorio's, great place to go for the flour and the and you don't mind if I say accoutrements you need for your
I love that word.
pasta making.
Yes.
Okay. You don't mind if I say accoutrements, do you? Let's go to what's number 2. Anything else for us?
Yep. Number 2 is a brand new spot in Fox Park.
Okay.
So one of the wonderful things that you see when these neighborhoods are kind of brought back to life is that these, rewind 60 years and these neighborhoods were full of little shops and corner cafes and little bars and things like that. And so in the revitalization of Fox Park, which is in St. Louis City, the address for the place that I'm talking about, the Purple Martin, is this brand new kind of wine bar and cafe. It is at, I wrote this down, 2800 Shenandoah.
Okay.
And so this truly is a little neighborhood gathering spot. It's just charming. When you walk in, it's warm. I went last weekend, and like the windows were kind of steamed up, from just all the cooking that was going on inside. It was packed full of people. It was convivial. It was noisy. It was great. And they're serving kind of Greek Mediterranean food. A lot of vegetarian fare. They do things like doner kebab, which is kind of like a gyro, essentially. Sandwiches. They have this wonderful orange and beet salad with a really great kind of salty vinaigrette on it. They have this Tunisian stew called lablabi, which is fun to say, which is like chickpeas and garlic and cumin and vegetables and torn bread in this really nice, rich broth. And you can get that topped with tuna, like a big chunk of tuna and an egg, and it's served with this spicy harissa sauce on the side. Baklava for dessert. It's just really kind of approachable food that is not just your standard American.
What's the name of this place?
It's called the Purple Martin.
The Purple Martin.
Not the fish, as in the bird. Yeah, and they have amazing cocktails and a really nice wine list, and it's just unassuming and approachable, and it totally feels like a neighborhood place, but it's not divey. It's not like a neighborhood dive place.
Right.
It's very much what we think of in a modern way of what you want your neighborhood. You want to be able to walk down the street to a place like this.
Right. Yeah. Good. The Purple Martin, 2800 Shenandoah.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a great place.
It is. And by the way, they also just last weekend, they debuted brunch. So this is a brand new thing. They're now doing, they do croissant sandwiches, souffles, quiches. They're also doing Tunisian fried peppers and eggs for brunch.
2800 Shenandoah, the Purple Martin.
Mm-hmm.
And then DiGregorio's 5200 Daggett.
Yes.
Feast TV debuts Saturday, the new episode?
Absolutely. And also the Maplewood Coffee Crawl is on Saturday. So go become fully caffeinated at the coffee crawl and then plop yourself in front of the TV.
FeastSTL.com for all the information?
Yes.
And newsstands everywhere. You can get it delivered straight to your front door on Sundays if you subscribe to the Sunday St. Louis Post-Dispatch and you subscribe to Feast. They'll get it delivered right to your house. That way you don't have to knock over any old ladies and middle-aged talk show hosts running to get the latest edition of Feast.
Yes.
And if you want a deal, go to stltoday.com/McGraw, and they'll cut you a subscription deal. Kat, be good, be
Thank
safe.
you.
Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely.
That pasta sounds like fun.
It's fun.
Sounds like a fun deal. 8:48. We'll talk a little hockey with Andy Strickland. We'll do that next on KTRS. This is sponsored by Bertarelli Cutlery, keeping St. Louis sharp since 1967. Bertarelli is your one-stop shop for knife and tool sharpening, along with all of your kitchen supplies. Visit them at 1927 Marconi on the Hill or at Bertarelli Cutlery.